Mwahahaha! Mwahahaha! Many spooky greetings to viewers of the Whoniversals. The time of Halloween is almost upon us. Mwahahaha! Well, it isn't really, because I'm filming this video at the end of July, so, yeah. But regardless, I'm a big enthusiast for this spine-chilling time of year, and with a show like Doctor Who, which has a deeply rooted reputation of making whole families hide behind the sofa, you'd think it'd make a bigger spectacle of the occasion. And yet, as of the making of this video, it hasn't, really? For real, as of 2021, the TV show has given us 14 Christmas specials, 4 New Year's specials, and even an Easter special. A goddamn Easter special! But never have they properly dedicated a Doctor Who episode to Halloween. I can just sense the BBC sheepishly bowing down to safe and saccharine family values. Come on, BBC! You don't exactly have to worry about Mary Whitehouse crying over the week-long images in a child's mind anymore. Like, go all out, give us that sweet Doctor Who spoop! That's not to say there haven't been episodes which have aired on or near the 31st of October. Hell, Season 2 of the show premiered on that exact date in 1964, with Episode 1 of Planet of Giants, although that was long before Halloween was really popularised here in the UK. As of the publishing of this video, the only other episode to be broadcast on the exact day was 2015's The Zygon Invasion, and yet that episode doesn't really embody the spooky spirit at all if you ask me. Still, there have been episodes which came close and were a much better fit for the occasion, notably The 10th Planet Part 4, Pyramids of Mars Part 2, Image of the Fendal Part 1, The Stones of Blood Part 1, Dark Water, and Arachnids in the UK, all relatively moody installments with dark subject matter that makes them ideal for this time of year. Although that said, there are others which came close which weren't so fitting. Further episodes which aired close can be seen below. According to the writer's tale, the final chapter, page 525, thank you Thomas, Russell T Davies did briefly ponder in late 2008 about having The Waters of Mars be broadcast on Halloween the following year, but reconsidered this out of concern of it getting swamped in the ratings by The X Factor, hence its ultimate mid-November broadcast instead. And yes, I'm aware of the potential Halloween episodes that were planned for the Sarah Jane Adventures, but that's its own other thing that I won't get into here. Maybe someone else on the channel will tackle that. So yeah, sadly so far in the show's history, we have been rudely deprived of a true Doctor Who Halloween special, which I reiterate is kind of baffling considering scariness is part of this show's widespread appeal. But whatever, I'm sure we can make do and mend. After all, we're Doctor Who fans. We have the entire show on DVD, Blu-ray, BritBox, VHS, Target novels? I don't know. And we can always stick on some of the old favourites to tide us over this spooky time of year, so how about I give you some recommendations? The Edge of Destruction. Quite an unnerving pair of bottle episodes where the TARDIS goes haywire and cryptic, and the Doctor and friends start behaving strangely in response. The stilted weirdness really sells this one. The War Machines. While not an all-out terrifying outing, the psychological horror premise of machine overthrowing man does serve as a still rather effective glimpse into the technophobic fears of the past. The Power of the Daleks. Our shifty acting new Doctor runs into a group of eerily obedient Daleks, and our comfort zone is nowhere in sight from beginning to end. It's perfect Halloween viewing just for its atmosphere alone. The Moon Base. On a claustrophobic base on the desolate surface of the moon, with mysterious disappearances, a creepy disease, and some of the most lifelessly chilling Cybermen ever put to screen? Yeah, an instant must-watch. The Macra Terror. Oh goody, more psychological horror. When you still feel compelled to enjoy and partake in the activities which you know are parasitic enslavement, that's when you know you've got some incredibly creepy entertainment. The Web of Fear. A whodunit in the London Underground under siege, with some of the most effective atmosphere in all of Doctor Who, a phenomenally compelling cast, and the tension just never stops. Even the credits give me goosebumps. Fury from the Deep. A story with evil seaweed as the villain and nobody even dies, and yet I'm still including it in a list of must-watch spooky stories for Halloween? That should tell you everything about how much it excels at creepiness. The Curse of Peladon. Sadly, there doesn't seem to be many stories which have that spooky factor with the Third Doctor, but this is probably the closest his era gets. Bit of a murder mystery vibe in a haunted castle. It works. Planet of Evil. Now this is great if you're into that Lovecraftian staring into the unknown abyss vibe. One of the most isolated feeling Doctor Who stories. It almost feels like a nightmare in a way. Top notch. Pyramids of Mars. I mean, it has walking, goofy looking Egyptian mummies. That just screams gothic horror. I dare say it's more compelling viewing than scary viewing, but it does still have its chilling moments at the hands of Sutekh. The Brain of Morbius. Speaking of gothic horror, how about the most blatant example, the literal Frankenstein pastiche? Still, its oddball characters and cultish undertones certainly do put one on edge, so it still works. Horror of Fang Rock, an isolated lighthouse on a foggy night with an unseen malevolent shapeshifter picking off the characters one by one. It's a no-brainer, and it's just an all-around rich story. Dialogue, writing, atmosphere, everything. Image of the Fendal. Slow-moving and downright incoherent at points, but possessions, an evil from the dawn of mankind, and a satanic cult summoning giant slugs which embody death itself. You can't go wrong with this one. State of Decay. The tone of this one has always been odd to me. It's like a weird blend of gothic horror and sleek sci-fi that ends up feeling kind of distant and numb, and yet I think that really helps to enhance the experience. Oh, and also vampires. Ghostlight. Another pretty infamously incoherent horror story, but its madhouse appeal is tailor-made for a late autumn viewing if you ask me. Both the Doctor and Ace hiding things from each other helps to heighten the uncertainty. The Empty Child. This one's iconic horror status has been over-egged to the moon and back for a decade and a half now, but I won't pretend like I can't see why. A spooky zombie-like contagion during the Blitz? That screams spooky season viewing. Tooth and Claw. There's a werewolf in it, which I'm told is apparently a frightening creature typically associated with the spooky season. If you say so. But for real, the frantic tension of this one is pretty strong. Awoo! The Impossible Planet. A strong sense of Lovecraftian cosmic horror, a black hole, and the literal goddamn devil, all in one story. It's basically begging to be included here, and it earns it. It's quite morose and contemplative too if you're into that. Blink. Duh, of course, the famous one with the killer statues makes the list. I'd wager it's less an outright horror story and more of a moody conspiratorial character drama with a strong haunting atmosphere laced throughout. Silence in the Library. An abandoned planet-wide library infested with carnivorous shadows. It makes one self-conscious about watching it in the dark. There are skeletons everywhere too, so it's absolutely appropriate viewing. Midnight. So this is the one story in all of Doctor Who to still genuinely scare me. Claustrophobia, incredible psychological horror, and stressful character tensions that just skyrocket as the episode goes on. Hell yes. The Waters of Mars. Ah, Doctor Who, making us fear mundane elements of everyday life since its inception, finally turns around and says to the audience, what if water was the villain? And you've transcended the edge of your seat by the end credits. The Time of Angels. Basically take those killer statues from before, give them more abilities, and have them chase our cast through a subterranean labyrinth, a confined spaceship, and a creepy forest. Solid horror. Knock knock. A creepy old haunted house infested with alien woodlice and a dodgy landlord with a dark secret, a cast of teenagers who get picked off one by one, great foundations for a chilling entry, and it succeeds. Underrated. Oxygen. Damn, there's a lot of stellar outer space horror in this show, and applying a capitalist ideology to an essential resource like the very oxygen we breathe? Woo, the tension is strong in this one. And finally, it takes you away. This is another one which is less full-blown horror and more psychologically unnerving, with the anti-zone and the solid tract dimension providing some fascinating creepy imagery. And those are my recommendations for spooky season Doctor Who viewing. There are certainly other stories with horrific moments in them, but on the whole, I don't think they're entirely a good fit for Halloween. Like, I don't know, The Sensorites. Episode 1 is quite mysterious, but the rest of it is, not really. Or The Unquiet Dead. A really creepy premise, but the fact that it's set during Christmas, not the best Halloween viewing per se. But yeah, while that's all very well and good, as I said before, it'd be great if Doctor Who had a genuine Halloween special. Like, come on BBC, give the people what they want. And by the people, I mean me. because I'm totally an elitist, and I speak for all of Doctor Who fandom when I say this. See you next time. Huh. Well, I suppose I got my wish then.